Welcome to a new episode of the InfoTech Growth Partner Podcast, the podcast where the future of IT unfolds, and we dive deep into the pertinent developments in regards to IT and data with leaders and experts in the IT consulting field. My name is Jasper, and today I have the distinct pleasure to have Alan Joenn, Account Director at Collier Pickard, on the show. Alan, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Jasper, and thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Very much looking forward. Can you give the audience a little bit of introduction about yourself, maybe a bit more insight into your background, what Collier Pickard does, of course, and what your role within the company is?
Of course. I'm Alan Joenn, and I've been involved with technology and business solutions specifically, mainly in the B2B market for the whole of my career. Collier Pickard was started 20 years ago by people, including myself, with a background in CRM and sales automation. And over the last 20 years, we've evolved as the market has evolved. CRM has broadened as a technology platform, as a base for business automation. It's broadened over the last 20 years. It now always includes marketing automation. It includes customer service and contact center features. It includes in-app business analysis and great dashboarding and reporting. And of course, over the years, the whole CRM world has evolved to be one which is integrated with everything else that you do in business. So CRM working in conjunction with websites, with social media, with financial applications, with other aspects of ERP. This is the area in which we work. My role specifically inside Collier Pickard is as an account director, is a business development and account management role. I run a platform section within the business. We operate on more than one CRM platform to go to market, so that we have a choice of tools with which to solve business problems. And for the last 4 years, I've been working primarily with the Creatio platform as a no-code tool in the CRM and workflow and business automation space. And that's been the focus of my attention for the last 4 years. Prior to that, I've worked closely with other platforms, but mainly in the area that you might describe as larger SMBs, corporates, or divisions of enterprise organizations.
Well, thank you for that introduction. And well, you've been involved in the CRM for a whole lot of years, and something that stood out, especially in the explanation that you just shared, that there's a lot of things that you can do with a CRM, whether it's automation or whether it's customer experience, dashboarding, reporting, social media integrations, a lot of things that you can do with it. And I think most businesses also understand that they need a CRM, but most of them don't really know where to start, where to begin. Can you maybe talk us through some of the common misconceptions businesses have about a CRM and how you think that companies should address those?
Yes, there tends to be two schools of thought when you talk to businesses. When I talk to businesses for the first time, I'm always trying to establish which camp they sit in. You find people who believe that there's a great tool set inside Microsoft Office, inside Microsoft 365, and that if you use your email communication well, if you use spreadsheets well, if you use SharePoint well, and some of the other apps that can automate and streamline some of the ways you use communication, then that's actually good enough, and that spending on a system that fits into this generic CRM category is not actually value for money. That's one school of thought. A second school of thought that we meet fairly regularly is that people understand that CRM comes with amazing array of benefits, lots of them intangible and very difficult to measure in terms of return on investment. but they try to overcomplicate it. They envisage a project which is massively sophisticated, that requires lots of customization inside a standard cloud platform, and therefore takes a long time to get off the ground before you start getting value out of a change. So both those start points need a little bit of education into the best way to do things. Our opinion with CRM is there are so many things inside a platform today that you can use, but you maybe won't. Then it's always best to start trying to use CRM as your chosen CRM platform in a completely vanilla way as much as you can, and from experience of using it, work out which bits fit you very well and which bits need to be customized. So I think underestimating the power of the tool is one thing, and over configuring it before you've even started is these are the two problems that we meet in the market regularly. And as a result of that, we regularly refer back to a paper that was written by the Harvard Business Review after some extensive research a long time ago. But as always, good research is good research, and it stands the test of time. And they wrote a paper and distilled their findings down into a few questions. Is CRM strategic? And their view was that it must be strategic, otherwise you won't give it the right importance within the organization. They want you to ask where it hurts. So where are the current pain points? And those are the places to focus your attention, not to try to automate things that are already delivering effective results, but to pick on things that are brand new for the way you're going to tackle this project, where you have the most difficulty, where there are the most problems in your organization. And then there are some other questions relate to how you actually build the project out. But that for me is a great start point. Make sure that it's strategic, which means you need commitment from senior management for the project to take off and be effective. And then to focus on where it hurts, which is to look at the pain points in your organization. That's where you'll get quick wins. If you can solve problems for people inside the organization, then they'll buy in to this whole initiative, and you'll get fast engagement and a short time to value from the change you've made and the money you've spent on a new platform.
I think those are some very important considerations that companies should take into account whenever they want to assess whether they need a CRM or whether they need any additional features in their existing CRM. I think the main point here is you mentioned that start small, start just working with it, start seeing, where does it hurt most, and begin there, making sure that is optimized and maybe even automated in a way. You've already talked about, I think, Creatio. You're working a lot with that CRM, with that business. They offer a no-code platform, if I'm right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Can you maybe talk us through? And that is also, I think, related to the thing that business should start small. What are the advantages of no-code platforms when it comes to CRM over traditional coding or maybe even low-code solutions in that sense?
Okay. The difference between no-code and other approaches, whether that's low-code, rapid application development type low-code, or a completely coded system that requires programmers, the difference is that you don't need to have a good understanding of the software that you're customizing. There are tools that you can use that operate in a natural language sort of way. So picking things from a pick list, picking things from a palette. I mean, lots of people these days are very familiar with building their own marketing automation in tools like MailChimp or whatever, where you have a palette and you drag and drop pieces from the palette to create a template. You put your logo where you want it. You put your Dear Jasper, which is a variable field that will pick up data from from a list. You maybe have variable content in the body of the email based on this customer is in construction, whereas that customer is in distribution. So you have a slightly different block of text that will come in. You have standard features that fit at the bottom. So most people are familiar with building a email template for their marketing automation system in that way. And that's exactly the way that no code works. But now, rather than it just being to build an email template, it runs right across any process that I might want. Moving from a quotation that's been accepted by a customer to convert it to an order, to make sure that the workflow triggers to order the products from the various suppliers that you have, making sure that confirmation documentation goes out automatically to the customer to let them know that the order's been received and it's being processed. Maybe there's some special pricing in this quotation, so before delivery, the process needs to branch out and get approval from a senior person in the organization before it's confirmed internally. All of these things can be built with building blocks that create pathways, create conditional branching. That's one aspect of no code in the workflow sense. Another aspect is the way that people interact with this system through the user interface. So deciding what you want on the data, what data do you want on the screen? Dragging blocks. I want a list of all the previous orders that this customer has placed here. Or maybe I'm in a contact center environment. I want to see a list of frequently asked questions. So I've got ready-made answers. Placing blocks of text or blocks of information or little dashboards with graphical analysis on the user interface in the way that makes it easiest for your operator to take decisions in the course of their working day, maybe even gives them prompts as to what's their next best action out of the situation that they're in at the moment. So no code's really good at that. It means that processes, templates, flows, user interfaces, they can all be configured by people who aren't programmers, who aren't developers, who can't code things. Sometimes people can't write complex statements in an Excel spreadsheet, but they can configure a workflow process in no code because the logic is exactly the same as the way the process fits in your mind. So having it work that way with drag and drop, with blocks of components that are ready made that you can put anywhere, means that you can be very experimental about things. You don't have to write a detailed specification, get it signed off, and then give it to the coder. And then when it comes back, test that it met the specification. Now you can say, I think it works like this. You put it together, you test it, you find it does. In which case, carry on. You find there's something illogical in the way it flows, so you go back and change it really quickly. It's a dynamic environment. It allows you to be, no code allows you to be dynamic with your knowledge workers, with the subject matter experts in your organization, rather than always having to define things on paper, get it signed off, and to give it to a coder. Much faster, much more cost effective, much leaner in the way you go to market, and much more responsive to changes that you need to make because of the economy, because of changes in policy in your own business, or because of changes in the economic climate in which you work.
Wow. And there clearly are a lot of advantages in working with no code. You can, like, as you mentioned, the subject matter experts can change things themselves. I have, of course, some experience in being in between the business and IT. I've been working as a product owner, so I can really recognize those complications of having to make that communication and that bridge between business and IT. I'm just curious, would there be a scenario in which companies shouldn't choose for no code, or choose for traditional coding or other solutions that in building their CRM?
That's a really interesting question, and I don't have any statistics to back me up, but I suspect the answer to the question is no. There isn't a situation where no code doesn't fit. And the reason I say that is that the whole world needs to move away from coded systems. Um, there is a talent shortage all over the world. I don't know if you follow the statistics that Manpower Group build up every year. I think it's an American-based research organization. Their latest figures on employment, business employment, they surveyed 39,000 companies in 41 countries and concluded that 77% of those companies reviewed have a problem recruiting the talent they need to run the business the way they want to run the business. Obviously, the percentage varies a little from country to country. Here in the UK, it's 80% rather than 77% norm. But in all the countries that we deal, the figure is extremely high. Now, that inability to attract talent into your organization includes software development people and coders. So if your business is manufacturing or engineering or distribution or financial services or professional service, or you're a charity, whatever your operation is involved with, if you've got difficulty recruiting people to run your mainstream business, the last thing you need is have to recruit programmers as well, where there's a shortage of programmers. So the best thing to do is to leave the recruitment of software developers to software development organizations, companies whose speciality is building those software applications, and work with a no-code system yourself, whereby you don't need to employ those programmers, or B, you don't need to pay a third party to provide them for you, which can be very expensive. In the talent shortage that we're suffering globally, might involve long timescales. So you lose the ability to be lean and agile if you stick with coded software. Your ability to change it, to tweak it to changes around you, to adapt policy is hindered by coded systems, and it's enabled by no-code systems because your subject matter experts can make those changes yourself on the fly.
Well, those are some, I think, very valid points that companies indeed should consider in going for no code before looking at hiring people, software developers, because that is clearly a problem. There's a lot of technical people that get a lot of job offers and really can jump from company to company if they want. I want to pivot a little bit and go into the more of the customer experience topic here. I know you are a big proponent of, well, of course, with CRMs, you try to enhance customer experience in a way, but you think it's also crucial to align your employee experience in order for your customer experience to be more successful. Can you share your perspective on that?
Yes, I think most people will agree that employers who have high levels of job satisfaction within their workforce, people who are happy in their jobs, comfortable in their jobs, they feel empowered, they feel they have some responsibility, then the performance of those people is higher than in an organization where their job is dictated to them and they're slightly oppressed maybe by rules and regs and so on that they have had no hand in compiling. So let's put that one on the shelf for a minute, and we'll come back to it in a second. For most companies, their goal can more often than not be focused down to growth. They need to grow their business. They want to win more orders, improve their margins. They want to introduce new products, expand into new territories. But growth is a common factor when you look at most organizations. And most people know that if they can offer a great customer experience, high levels of customer satisfaction, high net promoter scores, if you use that scale for measuring customer satisfaction and customer loyalty, but generally people who find it easy to do business with you, those experiences, which we can encapsulate as customer experience, will make it easier for you to grow. So companies focus on customer experience, but the company as a legal entity can't create a great customer experience. It's your staff, it's your employees, it's your people on the ground who deal with the customer face to face who will create that great customer experience. So now let's go back to the one we put on the shelf, which is happy customers are more productive. If you've got happy customers and you've got high levels of job satisfaction and you've got a great employee experience, then these people, if they're empowered, they know that they can do things that will focus on improving the customer experience. They can evolve the way that you deal with people. So if you go back to my Harvard Business Review, which was what's the start point for CRM, and one of the start points is where does it hurt? Where are the pain points? If when you embark on a CRM journey, you go to your own teams and work out where they have the most pain. Where do they repeatedly have to go to get information before they can take the decision they need to take to get on with their jobs? Where is their duplication? Where is their frustration? If you can identify these and rank these as your pain points, you can prioritize how to knock them off, how to tackle them. And if you tackle those first, you will end up with employee engagement in the project that you're on the mission that you're on. And you will start to educate these people that there's a new tool, a new way of doing things. If the system is configured correctly, the data, the insights that it will provide them will empower them. And then you end up with this high level of employee satisfaction, leading to a better employee experience, and they can evolve the customer experience improvements because they're happy in their job and they want to do it well. So it's like a chain of dominoes. I'm trying to get to growth. Therefore, I need good customer experience. I want good customer experience. I have to have good employee experience. If I want good employee experience, I have to work out where their pain is and where their frustrations are first. And then I have to devise a plan that tackles that first. And I think the relationship between employee experience and customer experience is one that's overlooked. When people embark on a CRM project, they're trying to get to the end goal, instead of saying, what are the steps to get to the end goal? Yeah. And for me, starting with addressing the employee experience is the right way to tackle a new project, which is implementing a no-code platform for whatever it is, marketing automation, sales automation, contact center, whatever you're doing with a CRM platform. Start with the employee frustrations, improve the employee experience, get that singing, and they will evolve improvements in the customer experience and come to you and listen to them, and let them make those changes. Now you need the no-code platform because any changes they recommend need to be quick to implement. You need to test them, make sure that it was a good idea. And a no-code platform enables you to do that with your subject matter experts, with your knowledge workers who talk to the customers and do it really rapidly.
Yeah, and especially that last point really stands out, that those people that are directly involved in the conversations with customers, who directly experience any pain points, any desires that they have, that they can even implement the changes themselves, like on the spot, if they would want that.
Yeah,
that's a very very interesting viewpoint and a very clear benefit of using a no-code platform.
Indeed.
I don't know.
And the role of the CTO in an organization then becomes one of enabling this mindset for the employees, and taking a view on what they're doing, making sure that it has good governance, making sure that they're not breaching policy regulations set down inside the company, policy externally like GDPR, or some ISO 9000 quality management piece that the organization's working to. So the role of the CTO and the technical people inside the organization is to now make sure the infrastructure is right and make sure the governance is there, so that the subject matter experts can make these changes, knowing that they don't have to worry about those technicalities. There's somebody to make sure that they stick within the guardrails is the emerging term in some areas of technology, but compliance, guardrails, whatever you want to call them, making sure that those are adhered to in the way that these business applications are morphed over time.
Wow. Alan, I want to dive a little bit deeper, or at least get your perspective on what you think is the future, like what is behind no code, or what is the next development for CRMs? How will they evolve even more in the future? Can you give a bit of perspective on that from your perspective?
Yes, well, I mean, the one that everybody would expect me to say is generative AI. Generative artificial intelligence. I mean, that's obviously the next piece. Copilot is the term that's emerging in the market. Microsoft use it, Creatio use it. I'm sure others will use it as well. But the idea that you have a generative AI tool sitting alongside your business process automation, so that it can accelerate the development of new ideas, make more intelligence recommendations as the next best step for somebody in a process, so that it can enhance a company's reputation by adding pieces in that you don't need to train your employees to do. It will automatically do it for you. So generative AI has got all sorts of good press and all sorts of bad press over the last few years. OpenAI with ChatGPT have taken the lid off the whole debate, obviously, but they're not the only people building large language models and building generative AI. So what you point your generative AI at, the guardrails against your large language model become important. But within CRM, it will obviously be a next logical step to point your generative AI, the large language model you're using, the Copilot, whatever it's called, to point it at the closed environment of your CRM, your business process automation world, and the other things you've trained your LLM to understand. Those things combined together to create a Copilot that's becoming more and more unique to your world. And I think that as well as generative AI becoming more and more a feature in my world, in my CRM and my business automation world, I think you'll see the emergence, I expect you'll see the emergence of adversarial AI coming up here as well, whereby just because a AI world says this is the machine learning I'm evolving, you don't let it necessarily do that on its own. You ask adversarial questions of it. You challenge it. You ask it why this evidence is valid. And there are two ways of doing that. You can do it as humans. You can say, I'm going to ask my Copilot to determine this answer, and I'm going to ask my subject matter experts to determine the same process. And if they come to the same outcome, I'm happy. If they come to a different outcome, I want to know why my generative AI worked that way and where I can improve its algorithms, its use of the large language model, in order to always come to the same outcome that the subject matter experts would have done had they had the ability to process that much data that instantly.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think this will get faster and faster. I know that, outside the worlds of business automation, there's some neuroscience stuff going on in University College Hospital in London, where they're building parallel algorithms to challenge one another, so that adversarial machine learning becomes a part of generative AI itself without humans challenging it. But we're talking way into the future here, and we're not in business applications anymore. So coming back to the real world, Copilot, you'll see Copilot emerging. It will get better at its learning. That's the whole point of machine learning through generative AI. What it does refines. The more you use it, the more it learns, the cleverer it gets. And because it's working inside the environment of your CRM and your business process automation and your data, your customer information, then it gets better at helping you rather than just generically being a good thing on the open market.
Well, this has given me a lot different perspective on the cruciality of a CRM and the possibilities that a CRM can have within a business. And as you mentioned yourself, in the future, we will still be evolving, especially with the addition of generative AI. So I'm looking forward to see where all of these things goes. Alan, if someone wants to learn more about CRMs, wants to understand, or at least wants to speak with you, where can they find you?
Well, I have a LinkedIn profile, and my name's fairly unique. I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn. Finding me at Collier Pickard is pretty easy because it's Alan.Joenn, as my name is spelled on the screen there, at collierpickard.co.uk.
Perfect. I will make sure that those links and the email address is in the description as well, so people can find you. Alan, I really want to thank you for this interesting conversation. I hope the audience has learned something from it, and I would really want to thank you for your time and being on the show.
Jasper, my thanks to you. Thanks for inviting me to the InfoTech Growth Partner podcast. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.